Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Rob's Little Blue Book. And tonight we are doing Penne Alla Vodka. And I'll talk a little bit why we're doing that tonight. Partly is because the tip for tonight is going to be more along the lines of, I don't know, like a change in philosophy or something. I think it's important to revise your opinions, well, pretty much about anything, but particularly when it comes to food. Food opinions and tastes are really, really easy to form, and not that easy to undo sometimes. You know, you gotta think you like something, think you don't like something, and I just think it's a good idea to revisit those things over time. And so we're gonna do Penne Alla Vodka tonight, in part because I was throwing so much shade at, hey Paul, at Nick's, a little hot there. Throwing so much shade at Nick's recipes, and because one of them was like a rosé sauce, and that's not something Italians do, except it turns out they do, maybe. So nobody knows the true origins of Penne Alla Vodka. It was either, well, they know it came into being around the 70s, and it was either Luigi Francese in Italy or some dude in New York, and it's not clear where it came from. The motive is a lot more clear. It might be a legend, apocryphal, but apparently vodka manufacturers, especially in the 70s, they were just pushing vodka on everybody. Anyway, and they need to, because vodka is like is a terrible spirit. Yeah, you might be right, Serena, but the idea was to push vodka for cooking, and so somebody somewhere, or more than one person, decided they would cook this dish with vodka. You may be thinking, like, why use vodka in a recipe at all? Like, what's the point? And it turns out, I had to go into my McGee on food and cooking to figure this out, find this out, I didn't know. But alcohol releases flavor esters, like fruity flavor esters in your dish. And then the other thing it does is helps the sauce it doesn't help emulsify the sauce, but it actually prevents the sauce from breaking a little more easily. And since you're putting cream and tomato together, you've got a fat and an acid, it kind of keeps the whole thing together. Now, you could argue that cream and tomato aren't supposed to go together. That's why they try and separate in the first place. I don't know. I mean, alcohol putting things together that don't belong together, you can read into that whatever you want. However, we're going to do it because I don't believe in cream in tomato sauce. We're going to try it because I think it's time for me to revisit that opinion. Now, having said all that, we're going to do a cocktail tonight because I had to go buy vodka, which we don't normally keep in the house because we don't like it. But I thought, if I'm going to go buy vodka, I'll buy really good vodka. And it turns out you can't really spend that much on vodka. I don't know. Premium vodka might be an oxymoron, and that's a theme we're going to be revisiting tonight. Anyway, this is supposed to be good. So we're going to try it with this. And when I went to research vodka cocktails, if you do a Google search for the top 10... yeah, I can do that, Paul. I actually have like a little oil pen. Maybe I'll break that out one night. I haven't been doing cocktails because, quite frankly, alcohol hasn't been agreeing with me lately either. But I wanted to do this one because it fits the theme of revisiting things that you don't like. When it comes to vodka cocktails, if you look at the top 10 vodka cocktails, they are things like vodka gimlet, vodka tonic, vodka sour, vodka Callens, vodka sidecar, a vodka sunrise, and somehow the French 75 became a French 76. But the point of all that is that all of the classic vodka cocktails are second-rate versions of cocktails that are better. I think that says a lot about vodka. However, the one thing I didn't mention is the cocktail we're going to do tonight, which are two words that never should be spoken together, which is vodka martini. But we're going to do it. So here we go. I have never made a vodka martini, but I'm pretty sure it goes just like a gin martini, except not as good. Here we go. I know, we're seeing all kinds of stuff, Rebecca, that we don't normally see on stream. I'm break it. But I think this is a good exercise. I think you need to, yeah, definitely, Dodgy. You need to revisit these things, and you know, every once in a while you're going to surprise yourself and find out that something wasn't as bad as you thought, or maybe it's worse. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the standard ratio. So I make my gin martinis very, very dry because that's the way I like them. I don't like these, so I'm just gonna go with the standard recipe and use that as a baseline. The concept of a dry vodka martini doesn't make any sense because you would just drink straight vodka, I guess. Anyway, oh, here, let me switch the camera up too, guys. Can't even see what I'm doing. I'm making this cocktail. Nobody can see what I'm doing. So here we go. Yeah, this is just a build, you know, make it in a jug with some ice. And as I said, you want this to sit for, you know, you stir for at least 10 seconds. I'm going to let this sit while I grab a lemon peel or a lemon twist for a garnish. And we'll see how that goes. Okay, I'm just going to let that sit for a sec. Let's get a little bit of, I've never tried to make a lemon peel or twist with this thing yet. See how it goes. Okay. A little too much pith there, but I don't imagine it's going to hurt this drink much. Okay. So. Oh, yeah, Serena might have a really good point, actually. Maybe we'll just pretend one night. Okay. Let's get this going because I'm interested in getting this dish started. So here you go, guys. The vodka martini. Stirred, not shaken. I mean, it's not a bad looking drink. It looks almost like a gin martini, but not quite as good. Okay. Doesn't smell like anything. It smells a little bit like lemon. Yeah. It doesn't taste, I mean, you can taste a little bit of the vermouth. I mean, let's face it, guys, this is baby's first martini. If you want to start drinking martinis or ordering martinis just so you can say martini to the bartender, maybe this is the way to go. I don't know. It's not a bad cocktail. And this is the thing, I think this is the thing with vodka cocktails. This isn't a bad cocktail. And I'm sure it's much better if you like vodka. Well, Rebecca, it's not, as I said, it's not a bad cocktail. But it seems like all the vodka cocktails, the real thing is better. And sometimes you just want something different, right? And so you'll make something else or with a different ingredient. In this particular case, it's just not as good. Like, I would never choose to make this over a gin cocktail, like, or a gin martini. And I would never choose to make a vodka sour over a whiskey sour, and I would never choose to make a vodka Collins over the other Collins, and so on down the list. However, it is good enough that I will drink it, and we'll go from there. Okay. Let's go over the ingredients real quick. Penne alla vodka is not a complicated dish. We've got a little prosciutto here. We've got some basil, parm. I'm doing 2 portions, so if you're gonna, this is a fat garlic clove. So I'm only doing 1 fat one. If you're doing portions for 4, I would use about 3 cloves. We're gonna do a pinch of red pepper flakes. We've got a nice penne here. So this is the other thing we're gonna try tonight. I got this from Loblaws. This is their black label stuff, and one of the few good things about Loblaws is sometimes these black label products, yeah, Ellen, oh god, I'm not gonna go there. Every once in a while the black label products are actually really, really good. Like, whoever sources these things, they do their due diligence, and they typically get a really good product. So I'm gonna try this tonight. I'm a little concerned. You guys, we've talked about pasta color before. It says like Durham sell them, and you know, through the bronze dye and everything else. This is a little on the yellow side for an artisan pasta, but I think it'll be okay. We got some prosciutto, which we're going to chop in to get going. The prosciutto is not necessary. It's traditional, but I'm sure the dish is good without it. And we've got our passata. You could also start with a can of, San Marzano tomatoes and puree it yourself. This saves me a step, and I really like the people who make this, and they make a fantastic passata, so we're going to use that. We've got a little bit of olive oil, and that's kind of it. Got my water boiling behind me already. Let's, any questions? I think we're just going to jump right into this tonight. Let's get the garlic. Let's do a little prep. We're going to do a little prep here. I've gotten into the habit for my Italian pasta dishes of just slicing my garlic super thin. I like the way the garlic cooks like that. I like the presentation. I think it's nice. It's a little elegant. And in part, I also like it because this is the way Jon Favreau did it for Scarlett Johansson in the Chef movie. So it's got to be a good thing, right? So there you go. So just some really, really thinly sliced garlic. And prosciutto, we're going to just chop into like strips-ish. So the nice thing about this dish is, yeah, Serena, I don't know. I'll look into it. I'm loath to mess with the Google algorithm simply because I would not use pancetta for this, I don't think, Rebecca. Prosciutto is way milder and pancetta is smoked, so I think prosciutto is right. On the other hand, it's not like this dish has a classical heritage to begin with, so you kind of do what you want, right? Okay. Got the water going. I think we're just ready to jump into this. This seems a little bit simple, but all right, let's just do it. I'm gonna put my prosciutto here for now, my garlic here for now. Make some space. Yes, mocktails is something I would do, and believe me, guys, like, one of the reasons I dropped the cocktail from the stream for a reason, because, well, also we just ran out of cocktails, but there's lots of alternatives, right? So it's also just it was something I wasn't sure I wanted to keep doing simply because I wanted to focus on the cooking, and do I need to do a cocktail? As I said, like way back in the beginning, when I first started doing stream, honestly, the cocktail was just a way for me to like settle into the stream and get my bearings, and just it was kind of like an icebreaker in a way. And I don't really need that anymore. I feel like I've been doing this for a long time now, and a little more comfortable. So there's that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna warm up some olive oil here. Healthy dose. And we're gonna just fry up our prosciutto. And we're not looking to crisp this up. We're just gonna give it a little bit of color. Oh, yeah, I love these, Rebecca. These, Rebecca's talking about these these are eighth sheet pans, and I will admit I tend to use these more for prep rather than like, like under the broiler or in the oven. But I do, like, I make toast on them, or anytime I need to toast a hot dog bun in the oven. I think they're great. Like, you work in a restaurant, you want bigger, you want half sheets and full sheet pans because they have giant ranges and stuff like that. And home ovens just aren't that big, so you can't do that. I will say this dish I think is going to go together relatively quickly. So is that a plus? I guess that's a plus, kind of. So they do still. Not for this dish. Prosciutto is Prosciutto is the way for this one, Paul. Pancetta, the flavors is very, very strong. Now, I will say, one of the reasons you don't, put cream in sauces is just it overpowers the dish. But we'll see. We'll see. And I think that's just about as much as we want. As I said, I'm not looking to crisp this up, just looking to color it. And let's get our garlic in there. Yeah, let's flake it in there. Oh wow, it smells so good. All right, and the basil, we're going to take this out later, so I'm just going to put it in. That's a good question, Rebecca. I couldn't find a definitive answer, so I'm going to use heavy cream. But you could adjust it to suit your own preferences, right? Okay, we're going to need this in a sec. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about... No, I don't think it will, Paul. I don't think it will. Okay, so I gotta move a little quicker here because I'm yapping too much. But we are going to talk a little bit about safety and cooking with alcohol, because two things you never do when you're putting alcohol in a dish. Okay, you never do it over an open flame. I wouldn't even do it over an electric burner because the vapors can still ignite. If you're flambeing, that's one thing, that's fine. And the other thing is you never do it from the bottle. I'm going to do this now while we talk about why not to do it from the bottle. The reason you never do it from the bottle is if your vapors ignite, they can travel back into the bottle, and then the bottle will explode and you'll blow the back off it, and you will spray glass everywhere and cover yourself with flammable alcohol. It is, it's not a fun thing. So yeah, and it doesn't have to be high proof like vodka. I've seen it happen with bottles of wine. You know, pour white wine in, if the vapors ignite into the bottle, you're gonna have a bad time. Okay, now I do want to cook this vodka almost off entirely, but it's actually happening really fast. Let's turn this guy down a bit. So I'm making 2 portions here, and honestly, guys, I'm just kind of eyeballing this. It smells really good, so that's a plus. Okay, so now we're going to add some of the passata. And again, I want enough for 2 portions. Now we are going to cook this down. So unlike, unlike the weekday tomato sauce that we've done a million times on this, Bruce, I'll go with that. Okay, so now I'm going to ramp this up. And when you're making this at home, you want this next process to take about 25 minutes. I'm going to speed reduce this and stir because I'm going to be talking to you guys. But this is the kind of thing you can take your time. But this is basically, except for the butter, I'm going to add a dash of just like a tiniest sprinkling of red pepper flakes. This isn't a matriciana, so you don't want to go crazy on the red pepper, but we want a little bit of kick. I'm going to give it a little bit of salt here, but we'll taste it again towards the end. Remember, you've got prosciutto in this dish, which is already salty. So, yeah, we're gonna go fast on this one. No, this is just, honestly, this is just generic red pepper flakes, Bruce. This is probably Chili's d'Arbol is what they normally use for that. It's just kind of my generic red chili flakes. Okay, now we want this thick because we're going to be adding cream to it, and we're going to adjust the consistency later. Obviously, I'm going to put in some butter towards the end, just to, you know, because the heavy cream's not enough to make it super rich. And then we can adjust the consistency with the pasta water as we reduce this. I'm not going to put the pasta in just yet because I have a feeling this is going to take like a full 10 minutes at least, even at high speed like we're doing. That's too hot though. Let's just dial that back a bit. In the meantime, let's get some, we're going to need some parm, so let's do that. We're just doing parm for a garnish tonight. It's not going to go into the sauce, but it's always nice to have a little, I could just grate it over top at the end too, couldn't I? Let's do that. That'll be better. Okay, so it is 7:20. Am I gonna drop the pasta? Not yet. We're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to yak for a bit, guys, because I don't wanna rush this too much. This is gonna be kind of like a combination between, you know, your traditional Marcella Hazan tomato sauce and just like a quick tomato sauce. But if you were at home doing this, you could put this on a simmer and just walk away for 20 minutes. You don't have to do it quite as fast as we're doing it here. And it's actually thickening up pretty. Okay, you know what? I lied. I think we're getting in good shape here. Okay. So 2 portions of pasta. That was 180 grams. Sorry, 160 grams of pasta, which is, I've kind of settled for Serena and I around here. 80 grams is a portion. It might be different in your house. Did somebody remind me at 7:33 that the pasta is done? Yeah, Rebecca, that is kind of just the goal. Is all I'm trying to do here is to thicken it. You know, we've got sautéed garlic, and the basil will give up its flavor by the time this is done thickening. Paul, I wish I could, but I'm not running upstairs to put the plates in the oven. So the only disadvantage, guys, of the new space and the downstairs kitchen is I don't have an oven down here. So I don't have a way to warm plates, which is too bad because this is actually a dish where you would want to do that. I'm going to have to break my own rule slightly because I can't do it. You know what, guys? I'll figure out a way to warm plates down here. Not this stream. I have been eyeing... yeah, I know. I have been eyeing a convection... a combi oven from Anova. The other disadvantage, I just washed this thing. You guys can't see what's happening to my chef coat here, but it's getting covered in tomato sauce. This is actually going a little bit fast. I'm eyeing a combi oven for a whole bunch of reasons. I just think they're cool, and I'll be able to warm the plates in that. So this is actually thickening up quite nicely. I'm going to turn this down so I don't spread tomato sauce all over the kitchen down here. I'm gonna, no, we'll wait for the taste at the end. I'm confident in the seasoning so far. I think we're good there. So let's just keep going. I could do that, but then I got wet plates. I don't know, guys. I think I'm just gonna go with, because I'm gonna be digging into this right away, I'm gonna go with the plates as they are. And I gotta say, the cocktail's kind of growing on me. It's very, I guess, inoffensive. I don't want to say generic. But yeah. And it was also really, it's ice cold, so that's helping a lot too. I think there's a reason people drink vodka ice cold. Okay, give me a sec, guys. I'm just... making sure my pasta's not sticking back here. So for the pasta water this time, you can basically boil it in any amount you want. You know, if you remember from like the other pasta that we did, like the carbonara or cacio e pepe or whatever, you want to boil your pasta in very little water because you want nice starchy water. But since we're not using starch to emulsify or thicken this sauce, you can kind of just use whatever you can put in the pot. I'm looking at Rebecca's comment here. I would not use a long pasta shape for this. I think you'll see when we plate it up that this sauce is going to prefer like a short pasta, like a tube shape. You could use any of the tube shapes probably. I've never seen it in a long noodle, so I don't know the answer, Rebecca. I don't think Alla vodka is not a thing like that. I've only ever seen it connected with penne. It's kind of like it's a bound morpheme, if you want to call it that, like cran from cranberry. You know, berry is a thing on its own, but cran is not. And what did I say, 732? Is that what we're looking for the pasta? We can always just actually taste it and see too. So this is thickening up quite nicely. I think our basil has done its job here, so I'm going to yank that out. Yep. Okay, so this is actually, so if you guys can see here, this is the consistency we want, so I'm going to turn this guy right down. I still want a little flame here. But we have speed reduce this, but this sort of parting the Red Sea effect is what you're looking for consistency. So in a minute or two, I'm going to add the cream. Now the cream, you just want to go in at the end. There's no advantage to adding it earlier. You don't need it to simmer with the cream or anything like that. The cream is just simply going in for flavor. And in terms of consistency too, you just kind of add cream until it's the color you want, the color you're looking for from your rosé sauce, because you can always adjust the consistency with the pasta water. It will cool it down, but not a whole lot, I don't think. And I'm going to give it a couple of minutes. And also, once the pasta goes in, we're going to leave it in for a couple of minutes, just to get everything to sort of blend and whatever. Yeah, this is ready. This is ready. Actually, I want one more. Okay, there we go. I was waiting for the clock to tick over one here, and I'm kind of, again, just eyeballing this. I'm probably going to add a bit more here. Oh, maybe not, actually. No, I think that's about the color I wanted to see. I mean, that's about as rosé as it gets, isn't it? How's that look? Oh yeah, it's actually darker for you guys on camera, it looks like. Okay, so I'm actually pretty happy with this color and consistency, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And we'll gradually bring it back up to temperature. Oh, hey, Rebecca, I'm not going that far. So if you don't know my history with sun-dried tomatoes, I'm not a huge fan of sun-dried tomatoes. They were like the plague of the early 90s. And they were just in everything. Like, it had like sun-dried tomato cookies and things that sun-dried tomatoes shouldn't be in anything, but really things that sun-dried tomatoes should not be in. Which is probably too bad, because, you know, I'll bet you there is a place in cuisine for the sun-dried tomato. But they kind of wrecked it, because it was just in everything. And they wrecked it for me. Remember, guys, everything we talk about here, this is my opinion. I cook the food, I cook the food that other people like, because that's kind of my thing. But I also don't make things that I won't enjoy. So it's kind of like, it's always kind of a blend or a compromise. This is boiling already. Gonna just turn this right down. Oh, I'm just gonna leave this off. So, hey Nick, how's it going? We're doing a thing for you, kind of. This is not an apology for throwing shade at your cream pasta, cream tomato sauce chef's plate thing, but I decided I would try it because while I have never let a lack of knowledge stop me from forming a strong opinion, I thought we would revisit this and see just what it's like. So there you go. Okay, we got 2 minutes on the pasta. Let me give that a stir. And while we do the taste test, we're also going to talk a little bit about upcoming streams. So today is the 2nd, and the 9th will be the next stream. So actually I have next week planned, never mind. But we can talk about other things you guys want to see. I do have a sort of a special to me. I have a stream coming up for me, which I'm going to do next week, because the 9th is the closest date. Well, actually, maybe it's not. Maybe it's the... I'm going to do it next week. Yes, Paul, I can. We've done... we haven't done red curry before. We've done green curry. Maybe we did it way back in the Twitch days. I'm happy to do red curry. Somebody... Serena, can you write that down, and we'll get a red curry on the thing. Okay, Paul, I don't have an induction, you mean like a portable burner, or my actual old induction stove? If you're asking about whether induction is good, I highly recommend it. Induction is amazing. The reason I don't use induction on stream is more because they're loud. Like the small burners are... Okay, well, you know what, Paul? We'll do that in just... Give me 2 seconds, and I'll tell you what the differences are. This actually thickened up beautifully. So, yeah. So both my induction burners that were portable were loud, and I had an induction range, and it was also loud. There's fans in them to cool the magnets, so that's the one disadvantage. But pretty much everything else about induction is an advantage. You can melt chocolate directly on the stove in an induction burner. That's how fine your control is. Like, you can barely warm a pan, and at the other end of induction is you can boil a pot of water in like 90 seconds. It's totally crazy. If you get a good one with some good wattage behind it, they are unbelievably powerful. So I'm a huge fan of induction. I will admit that the fans got to me. I had the Samsung range, which was an induction cooktop and a convection oven underneath, and I loved everything about it, except it was kind of loud. Okay, let me rescue my pasta, guys. It's ready. Okay, got our pasta here, and I'm just gonna like fire it in here, and I'm gonna leave it like, you can put this in a bit wet because the starch will also help multiply whatever sauce you're doing, but also in this particular case, my sauce has got pretty thick as we've been chatting. And this pan might have been just a little small for, no, we got it. So we're just gonna like mix this up. In this particular case, Rebecca, the research that I did into this recipe, I didn't see onion in them. You could certainly... That's a good question, actually, because I could have used like the Marcella Hazan, like the Marcella Hazan classic weeknight tomato sauce would have onion in it. You take the 2 onion halves in or whatever. It wouldn't be wrong, but I don't know. I would just use regular onions in this, guys, like for a tomato sauce. But I don't think that... so we're going to give this 1 minute to just kind of like sauce up here and let everything absorb. I mean, it's a good looking dish so far. I'm really pleased with the way it looks. So that's definitely a plus. I'm going to move this off to the side. And then we are going to we're going to plate it up and try it. I think we're at that point. So Serena, if you want to come down for yours, it'll be ready in just a second. I have this guy. Okay, they're not the most elegant. I can, Paul. I'll have to get the meat grinder back from Pete. My brother Pete has my meat grinder. But yeah, I used to make sausage all the time. I can make it. What am I making sausage for? What is wish sausage? Okay, somebody's gonna have to clue me in. I think I missed a line in the chat because all of a sudden we're talking about sausage. Wow, this made a fair bit actually. I'm waiting for Serena to come down for hers. But, wow. Okay, so this made a lot of pasta. I think maybe you could probably cut back on this just a tad. Okay, burner, get that out of the way. Pass Serena's off. There you go. Okay. I want the parm. Okay. So as I said, I was going to finish this with butter, guys, but looking at it towards the end, I decided that I liked the consistency, and it's probably plenty rich without it. So let's see what we get to. Okay, I'm going all the way back to, I don't think I saw the message. I'm sorry, Serena. And the chat has now scrolled off. So we're going to do like a taste test here. Let's cleanse the palate with vodka and see where we go. Oh, was the sausage a substitute for the prosciutto? Now I understand. Okay, I think I understand. Okay, guys, let's get into this. Let me pop it up to the thing so you can see. That's, better lights here. That's the dish. See where we get to. That's pretty good. So, I'm going to think about this for a sec. It's quite tasty. It's definitely a comfort food dish. Like, it's creamy. It's got good mouthfeel. But I can see why people would think this is not an Italian dish. It is a little, it's pretty good. It's rich. Yeah, Serena, I'm kind of... So I like it. I will say it's got kind of like... It does have an Italian-American vibe to it. It's kind of got like an Olive Garden or East Side Mario's vibe to it. One of the reasons there's so much cream at Olive Garden and East Side Mario's in their Italian dishes, although they're not really Italian dishes, is that it makes it really easy to emulsify and cream up a sauce, right? It's not going to break during service. They don't need to... And honestly, you wouldn't expect them to. Like, Olive Garden is not going to go throw together a carbonara the way it's supposed to be, because they could never do that in a brigade-style environment. Having said all that, this is tasty. It's got the right amount of kick from the pepper flakes. It's got the right amount of salt from the prosciutto. I'm glad I didn't put in any more salt. Yeah. See, I agree with Serena. Like, it's good, but you can really taste. It's almost like you've got the two elements at war in the dish, you know? I don't have as much of a problem with the salt from the prosciutto, but you do. You have the acid from the tomato, and it's not being balanced by the cream. They're kind of like at loggerheads, if that makes sense. It's not harmonious. And if you were, I think, coming from the lens, looking at this through the lens of an Italian dish or Italian cuisine, it doesn't have the flavor profiles, the consistency. It doesn't have the clarity that you would expect from Italian cooking. The cream kind of like, yes, it's comforting, and it is, you know, it's like got that like creamy, fatty texture thing which is very satisfying. But one of the things I was afraid of is that the cream would just overpower the entire dish. And it tastes, I don't know, it's so weird. Oh, Serena, we covered the vodka earlier. The vodka does two things. It does release some extra flavors. So, according to McGee, it's not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick. According to McGee, there's real science behind it. You don't need a lot of vodka, but and you don't need vodka. It could be white wine, it could be any alcohol. Helps release fruity flavor esters into the, see you later, Paul, into the dish. And the other thing that the alcohol will do is keep the sauce from breaking, keep the acid of the tomatoes and the cream from separating. Now, if you know what you're doing, that's not really an issue anyway. As I said, I wanted to try this. And for a dish that's really easy to throw together, this is quite satisfying. This is like, this is kind of rewarding in that comfort, like mac and cheese kind of way. And I'm sitting here just like eating it spoonful after spoonful, so it can't be that bad, right? Yeah, exactly, Serena. So, yeah, I like this dish. However, is it an Italian dish? To me, I don't think so. It lacks the clarity of Italian dishes. It lacks the purity, I guess, in a way of like those super clean flavors. And not all Italian cooking's like that, guys. But the stuff that I like to make, it kind of is like that. Like one of the reasons I love Italian cooking is just the purity of the ingredients. So, not totally sure. This is not going to make it into the little blue book. This is not something I would make on a regular basis. I'm glad I did make it because now I know why I don't particularly care for this. But remember, also, this is just my opinion. I can tell by the texture and the flavor of this dish that this would appeal to a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people would really, really like this. So if you haven't made this dish, I highly recommend that you do make it, because this might be right up your alley. This might be something like, I can see this being a dish that people would really like, be a comfort food go-to. Just because it isn't for me doesn't mean it won't be for you, which is kind of the point of cooking for yourself, right? So, did we decide on next week? Did I decide I am going to do the thing. So yes, sorry. I am going to do the thing for next week. I do have a concept I want to do I'm not going to spoil it because I think it'll be a nice surprise. But it's we're going to do something that is personal to me for a whole bunch of reasons, and you'll have to tune in next week to find out. But as you know, like, I like cooking for the people that I care about. I like making them the things that they enjoy eating. And yes, I have my own opinions about food and all that stuff, but rewarding for me is having somebody dig into something that is just right up their alley. And if I knew that you liked this, I would love to prepare this for you. But I don't know anybody. Maybe, well, Nick will have to try it next time he's over. But, okay, so next week is settled. We'll talk about the rest later. I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes and answer any questions, but that's kind of all I have for everybody tonight. So, 2 minutes for questions. Fire it out there. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. I mean, having said all I did about this dish, I'm still probably going to finish the whole thing. And it was a large portion. It is the kind of dish that you just want to keep on eating. That may not be a good thing. I don't know. Okay, guys. I'm going to call it here. Thanks very much for coming and watching. Love doing this for you guys. We'll see you next week. I am really looking forward to doing it next week. So I hope everybody has a chance to tune in. So good night, everybody.